Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Wednesday, 3 January 2024. We meet today to talk about render with the RNDR, or the render token. I will explain all that to you in a few moments. We will come back to the fundamental part, to the current part, explain what the render project is, and then we will go to the graphs to project short, medium, long-term on purchase prices, selling prices, and understand the upward acceleration that we have experienced these recent weeks. Render is a protocol and a project that really fits into the notion of the decentralized infrastructure narrative. The principle is very simple. It is to make the computing power of graphics cards available to as many people as possible. That is, you have computing power that you do not use or that you want. Make it available when you're not using it. You can use render to make it available to people who want to use it to be able to do a certain number of actions, such as making 3 renderings, doing medical imaging, or even editing a film. And in fact, these are all elements that take a lot of time and a lot of energy when we do production, and which can be expensive, because you need equipment to be able to carry it out in an acceptable time, or even time. If it is really too significant, you will take a lot of time to be able to do it. Using render will allow us to reduce the time because we will pool a lot of graphic cases and therefore a lot of computing power to be able to produce the file and then use it. So it goes further because the goal is really to offer an effective infrastructure in which we have computing power available. And alongside we have a very strong notion of scalability in which we have no limits, in fact quite simply on the speed at which we can produce. The only limit we have will be the price we are willing to pay. The faster we want rendering, the more GPUs we will use in large graphics cards, and the more we will have numerous, and therefore inevitably the more it will cost us. So it is a question of choice which is made by the person who wishes to use the render network. What is important to know is that render network has an API and an SDK. SDK, which is a development kit to be able to use everything that is made available at the render level. Therefore, to be able to build applications above this computing power, and the API to be able to build small applications which just have intended to consume computing power from time to time, whether, for example, an interface in which I put my videos so that I can then have my videos produced, in any case render my videos, at render level. And all of this, in fact, makes the ecosystem itself work quite well, as I explained to you at the time. In terms of tokenomics, we have a tokenomics that has risen well. We were at 800 million in the last video that I made you, because precisely we had a big surge. We will explain why. And we have a dilution, which is 70, which is rather consistent compared to what we currently know. So why did we have a huge surge? First of all, we must understand that Render Network is not a blockchain, but is a protocol built basically on Ethereum. And we had this notion of moving towards Ethereum Polygon to reduce transaction fees, something which has changed, given that they moved to Solana, and it was done in November. And now we have a new token called Render, in which we can transition from RNDR to the Render token, which is the token which is a Solana token and no longer Ethereum, and they use the power of Solana to be able to have a maximum of transactions per second and also really limit transaction fees. It's Solana that really allows us to have this power at the moment, and it's at the same time a wave. We've had a whole wave of migration, big protocols, or even blockchain, if we take Helium, for example, which go directly to Solana to use the power, from Solana to build their own project. And it clearly had a big impact in terms of the valuation of the token render, of the RNDR. And I will explain to you why. In terms of the technical part, we had a big period of accumulation, really very long, in which it dates from June 2022 until generally the break of January 2023, in which we had a phase retest. As I explained to you, having this break and this retest phase was really essential to be able to set up an upward dynamic, something that we had with a second retest phase which was quite deep. We went to retest the 136, and then we did the big acceleration in which we almost reached our goal of 1618 in the 5.4. And why did we have this acceleration? Obviously, there is already the part of Solana which will have an impact There is also the part really linked to the fact that cryptos were coming back to life at the end of October, and we had news on the passage of Solana, the transfer with the Render token, and next to it we have this enormous acceleration, which is also close to Solana. It must be understood that it is the entire Solana ecosystem which benefited from the acceleration of Solana, and which at the same time nourished the Solana ecosystem. And so obviously Render, which is part of the Solana ecosystem, jumped on the bandwagon and was taken away. That's it, quite simply. Afterwards, two things must also be taken into consideration. It is that 1, the more we will have the use of artificial intelligence, the more we will need computing power, the more we have an interface which is simplified and a use which is simple, the more we will have people who will use Render to render them, and that it will certainly become a standard when we have the capacity to do so. So it's not new. Currently, it's a decentralized protocol. We have an image of what already exists in a centralized part, and which is overall approximately equivalent in terms of costs and in terms of use. On the other hand, the big advantage of Render compared to that is that we have a capacity for evolution, which can be much greater than what we know in terms of centralization, and this will be something to monitor later. In terms of targets, what's interesting is that we reached our target 1618, so I think we still have a little room to go for here, potentially the 5557, or even perhaps a little bit up to the 6, and then I think we will have some form of breathing space to be able to restructure the rise afterwards. So there, what I'm aiming for as a term of restructuring is to look for the surroundings of 354 in the effective targets. We will be able to aim for at least a new 88th, here to go broken, the rupture of the 8. In addition, it is the objective that we have in the 2618 of evolution, is that it will be carried out in a moment of bull run, or here in a short term, it will be complicated to determine it now. But in any case, what is important to know is that we are already in a market cap, which is relatively high, at least in the current state of Render. We will have to see if we will have a real narrative around DePIN being the decentralized infrastructure. At this point, we could have a phase of hyperspeculation. In a phase of hyperspeculation, we could aim for a return, a protocol return in the region of $20-25 billion. So that would make a projection, already in relation to the current state of the price, on a potential X8, X9, X10, if we ever really have this narrative which falls into hyperspeculation. The same, if we ever have this narrative, more potentially the narrative of artificial intelligence. We could end up on the higher performances that fit into it, because Render is a bit between the two, given that we sell computing power, and we know very well what consumes more computing power remains there. Artificial intelligence. So it will be to be seen whether or not we enter into hyperspeculation. In any case, if we ever have interesting entry points here, in this zone, I think it will be interesting to be able to re-expose ourselves if we find him, hop, here in this box. Here, in any case, this is what I did on my side to strengthen an already existing position on Render. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave us a like and a comment. It always makes me very happy. It supports the channel. And don't forget you have an investment guide available for free. 30 pages to teach you how to buy, where to buy, when to sell, how to sell. Very important when you're in a bull run, because if you don't sell, you don't make a profit. If you want to train and really enjoy bull running, it's simple. There is perfect, complete, free training available. It's through an educational journey that teaches you everything about blockchain, crypto, investment, technical analysis, and trading. All this for free in comments and descriptions. You have exercises, multiple choice questions, modules, videos, guides, everything to support you in your progress.